Yeah. Welcome, students, to uh, this class on the cell and its content, the first class in biology. Okay, so this is the first class of a series that we're going to have henceforth. Okay, so in this class, we are going to look at, of course, I'll introduce you to the cells. Then I'll talk to you about some cell theory, just some of them, some theories which are important for your level. Okay, then we are going to differentiate what we call prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, which you will understand in a minute what that is. Then we will understand as well what the cell organelles are. Okay, so now here there are certain major cell organelles that I'm going to concentrate, but then I'll make mention of other organelles. Okay, okay, and then of course you compare and contrast the difference between the plant and the animal cells. Oh, great. So cells are the fundamental building blocks of all living organisms. What this means is that all living organisms are built out of cells. Okay. Now see that cells, they are the smallest units of life that can function independently and perform all necessary functions of life. Okay. You know that some organisms actually are just one single cell. Okay. Other organisms, you notice that they are many cells, okay, that combine together to form so many cells, like you and I. Okay? So organisms that have only one cell, okay, they exist as just a cell. Those are called unicellular organisms. Okay, and organisms that have many cells that makes them like animals and plants, etc. Those are called multicellular organisms. Okay. Now, cells come in various shapes and sizes. This is very important to know that cells have different shapes and sizes, as you are going to see certain types of cells, even when a human being like you, the cells that you have are not of the same shape. For instance, the cells that makes up your muscle on your hand that helps you to lift things, they don't look the same as the cells that makes up your eye. Okay, each designed to perform unique roles. Okay, because of the functions that they hold. Therefore, they have a different shape and they have different sizes. Okay, and here I have written to you that understanding cells and their components is crucial as they are the basis for understanding the structure and function of all living beings. Okay, from the simplest bacteria to complex multicellular organisms like humans. And you'll notice from the class that I've had with you, okay, where we defined what biology is as it being the study of life, not only life, study of units that contains life. These are organisms, okay, and their environment, as well as how these organisms interact with the environment. This is what biology is. Okay. So there are three cell theories here that I have put out for you. The first one that we have seen from the previous slide is that all living organisms are composed of one or more cells, cells which are the basic units of life. Okay, remember that everything that we define to be living is made up of cells. That is one theory. So then that means that for anything to qualify to needs to have cells. If it does not have cells or it is not a cell, then it is not living from this statement. Okay. The second theory is that the cell is the smallest unit of life that can perform all life processes functioning independently. As you are going to notice through the study of this biology, okay, that the processes that happens even in a human body, okay, those are happening at the cellular level, okay. What you get to see is what is happening from the cellular level, the smallest unit of life, okay? All cells arise from pre-existing cells through the process of cell division, ensuring continuity of life. Okay, long ago, scientists used in the search to understand where did cells come from, where did life come from, okay, and in that search, this is where this particular cell theory came from, okay, and the experimentation that they did, that all cells arise from pre-existing cells, okay, so organisms come from other organisms. They do not come from nothing, as others in the ancient times had suggested, okay, that non-living things are what gave to uh, the living things, okay, that what gave rise to the things, okay. So this theory specifically is called the law of biogenesis, okay, the law of biogenesis, okay, that states all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Now, this slide wants to compare what we call prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Which difference actually you realize from the first lesson that we had, which defined what a prokaryotic cell is and what a eukaryotic cell. But I'm going to repeat what a prokaryotic cell is. Remember, prokaryotic, a karyote means that an organism that has a karyon. Now, what karyon is simply the nucleus. So people that observe these cells, the first people that observed cells under the microscope, when the microscopes were introduced, they noticed these uh, cell-like structures. Okay, cell in the sense of cell, like those at the police, the cells, eh? Cell. Okay, that kind of a cell. But then they noticed there were some of these structures that had dark structures within. Okay, and they called that dark structure as a karyon. All right. So cells that had that karyon, they called it eukaryotic cell, meaning true, okay, like a true carrier, a true nucleus. Cells that did not have this dark structure that they were seeing, they called them prokaryotic cells. All right, but that is still our understand. That is still our definition up to now. But the only difference is that not only that a eukaryotic cell contains nucleus, but that it also has membrane-bound organelles. All right, which the prokaryotic or the false nucleus, those that don't have nucleus, it's not only that they don't have the nucleus, but they do not have membrane-bound organelles. All right. So here, these are the key differences that I have put for you. Okay, that prokaryotic cells are generally smaller and simpler. Okay, most of these prokaryotic cells, like bacteria, all right, which are very small as compared to the cells of animals like you, a human being, okay, lacking a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, all right. The second point then iterates on the eukaryotic cells. They are larger, they are more complex with a defined nucleus and various membrane-bound organelles. Okay, these organelles, such as mitochondria and the endoplasmic reticulum, but we are going to look at more other organelles, all right? Prokaryotic cells are typically unicellular organisms. Remember, I said unicellular simply means that this is an organism as a whole. It is just one cell, right? So this is like bacteria, okay? It is just one single cell. Whereas eukaryotic cells make up multicellular organisms like plants and animals, all right? Eukaryotic cells have a cytoskeleton for structural support and intracellular transport, and prokaryotic cells do not have. So what this cytoskeleton means, it is a skeleton that is within the cell that defines the structure, okay? You will learn in more detail what this is when you go to your university or to your college, but you will still look at some of them, but it's not really relevant for the level. Okay. DNA in prokaryotic cells is circular and floats freely within the cell. Okay. While in eukaryotic cells, DNA is linear and contained within the cell. Okay, so in prokaryotic cells, the DNA is circular, but just make note that it could also be linear. All right. So these are the types of prokaryotic cells. Okay. The first picture here is on the bacteria. Okay, these single-celled organisms that can be found in various environments. I have given you some examples of bacteria here, like Escherichia coli, this E. coli that you're seeing here, and Streptococcus. Okay, those are just the names, okay, of some of the bacteria. You can see that picture, okay, that rod-shaped bacteria. Those are some of the bacteria, okay, that could have, remember, they could have different shapes. Okay, then there is what we call archaea. These are microorganisms similar to bacteria, okay, but they have their own distinct genetic differences. Now, archaea simply means ancient. These are microorganisms that are believed to have lived for thousands of years. These are organisms that are believed to be the first forms of life here on this planet, okay? And they have lived and they have survived since that time. Those are thousands and thousands of years. All right, and these uh, these organisms are often found in extreme environments. Okay, and that is why they are called extremophiles. These are microorganisms that could be found in an active volcano. Okay, in that lava, the magma, you find the microorganisms, find living things in such an environment, or in the sea. Okay, where it is very salty, okay, that you'd expect that a living organism cannot live in such an environment because it's too salty. Therefore, it will shrink if it lives in such an environment. But you can find this archaea, okay. And the other type of prokaryotic cell is the cyanobacteria. Okay, these are photosynthetic bacteria. Okay, and these are very common. Many of you have seen them, especially when it rains. You will see those algae. If there's a sedimentation of water, yeah, there are usually those greenish things that forms there. That is the cyanobacteria. All right, blue green algae. Okay, which plays a huge role in the oxygen production. These actually are the ones that help maintain the oxygen concentration in the air, okay, for us to breathe and still be alive. Now, those were types of prokaryotic cells. Now, let's look at the types of eukaryotic cells, okay? And the main types of eukaryotic cells, we have animal cells, okay? Animal cells which lack what we call a cell wall, which you are going to see in the subsequent pictures when you look at the cells individually, okay? There's what we call a cell wall. Animal cells, they lack that cell wall, but they have a flexible cell membrane. In fact, if I should say very flexible cell membrane and various specialized organelles, organelles such as mitochondria, as I mentioned earlier, lysosome, and the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, you could have plant cell. This possesses the rigid cell wall that is made of cellulose, chloroplasts for chloroplasts for photosynthesis, and a large central vacuole for storage and maintenance of cell target. You are going to see the picture of what I'm talking about. There are also fungal cells, okay, which are characterized by a cell now. Cell wall, depending on what kind of organism, could be made of different things. For fungal cells, it is made of chitin. Okay, they lack chloroplasts. Okay, but they have other similar organelles, as you are going to see. Okay, they are what we call protista cells. These are highly diverse group with some possessing features of animal cells and others they have plant cells. And others could have a mixture of both and some unique organelles like contractile vacuoles. Okay, now this is something that you are going to, most of these things you study them when you go to college. Okay, each type of eukaryotic cell has unique features that suit its specific functions and environment. Okay, that should be there. So on the left here, this is the animal cell. Okay, you can see that it has the cell membrane. You can see that there's that large middle structure, the nucleus. Okay, and within the nucleus, there's what we call the nucleolus. So these are organelles, all right? You can see that structure, the mitochondrion, okay, singular mitochondria, but plural, you want to say mitochondria, okay? There's the cytoplasm, that is the environment in which all of these are, okay? Attached to the nucleus, this yellow, around the nucleus, this yellow structure that we call endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, you can see the lysosome. Even animal cells, they have the vacuole. Okay, but then the vacuole of the animal cell is very small and it is on the peripheral in the side there, as you can see where it is. Okay, contrasting that with the plant cell, this side where you see this huge central vacuole. Okay, this is the central vacuole that I was talking about. And then you get to see the cell wall that is around this plant cell. Okay, you have this cell wall. And you can see structures like the Golgi vesicles, but the Golgi vesicles or the Golgi apparatus is also in the cell. Okay, you can see the endoplasmic reticulum. You can see the ribosomes. Now, the difference with this picture is that it has added a little detail of the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, these ribosomes, there are some ribosomes that are attached on the endoplasmic reticulum. When these ribosomes are attached on the endoplasmic reticulum, that endoplasmic reticulum is called a rough endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum without the ribosomes attached on them is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, and you can see some of these structures that are making the cytoskeleton, including the microfilaments, the intermediates, etc. You can see the chloroplast here, which the animal cell do not have. Okay. So now let's look at these components of the cell individually. So this is the cell, this is the cell wall. Don't for now or at your level, don't really look at so much about the way the structure is, right? But this is how mostly it will be. All of these structures within it, that is going to give it the strength that it, okay, when you look at it very carefully, this is what you find. Okay. And the key features of this cell is one, the cell wall is a rigid layer that surrounds the cells of plants, fungi, and certain bacteria. Okay. But then remember that depending on whether it's a plant, whether it's a fungi, whether it's a bacteria, it will be made of different substances. Okay. The cell wall provides structural support, protection, and helps maintain the shape of the cell. As you can see, you can see these on this picture, you can see the cellulose microfibrillae. Okay, quite a lot of them that are cross-cutting. Okay, like that just provide a lot of tension, cross-cutting with the hemicellulose, etc. Okay, the cell wall is made primarily of cellulose that is in plants, as I said, okay, chitin in fungi, and what we call peptidoglycan in bacteria. I'm sure if you read your bacteria, your biology book in the library online, you're going to find all of this information. You need to know it because it is relevant for your level. Okay, and that is why in biology book all of this information is there. Cell walls are permeable to small molecules and water, facilitating nutrient and waste exchange. Okay, you see that cell walls actually more permeable than what we're going to look at as the plasma membrane, a structure that is in blue. I don't know if it's dark blue or something. The far end of the structure. Okay, plays a crucial role in preventing overexpansion when water enters the cell. All right. Then now we are going to look at the cell membrane. Okay. So the cell membrane, also known as plasma membrane, this is a phospholipid bilayer with embedded proteins. Phospholipid, it means then that this cell membrane is made up of lipids, okay? Or what we would want to call fats. Okay, these lipids. Now, these lipids, from the chemistry, they have a group called a phosphate. Okay, remember a phosphate group that is attached to this lipid. Okay, that's why it is called phospholipid bilayer. Bilayer means that it has two layers attached to each other, and within this uh, plasma membrane, there are proteins, okay, that are embedded. Then, as you can see on the structure here, you can see the phospholipid, and then you can see this purple structure. You see that protein, okay, channel. This is what is embedded in it. You can see another channel there, okay, and you can see all this structure. It acts as a selective barrier controlling the movement of substances in and out of the cell. So this one is selectively permeable, while the cell is largely permeable. Okay? It can permeate anything, but the plasma membrane is more selective. Okay, the membrane's fluid mosaic model that you should check in your in that Oxford biology book for you that is online. It's an online library. Okay, you're going to see the structure of this the mosaic model. Okay, what makes it the mosaic model, what this fluid mosaic model is, it's because of things like cholesterol that you can see here, this structure that is in red within the membrane. Okay, and things like glycoproteins and glycolipids, structures that are labeled on the right there that you can see. They make the membrane fluid, okay? They make it fluid. The membrane is always moving. It never stops moving. It's always moving, okay? Like a fluid, all right? This is another picture for you to see what is this cell membrane. Okay, this is more clearer. You can see all the structures that I just talked about. Okay. Then let's look at the cell nucleus. So this the nucleus, the nucleus. This is the nucleus that you are seeing here. Okay. The nucleus is the control center of the cell. It hosts the cell's DNA and it is responsible for managing gene expression. What gene expression means, okay, is to go and read what is on the DNA, okay, then translate that information into protein and into what the organism will look like, okay? That is what basically this gene expression is, but you are going to look at it later on when we discuss gene expression. Okay. The nucleus regulates the cell's growth, metabolism, and reproduction through the production of RNA and ribosomes. Okay, so there are enzymes that are responsible to go and read the DNA. When they read the DNA, they are going to form a messenger. It's like a letter someone has read somewhere, okay, and transcribed on a paper and gives it to a messenger. That messenger, we call it the messenger RNA, okay, which contains that information, and then that information goes to the ribosomes so that the ribosomes can read then and produce amino acids. All right. and the amino acids then will go into the rough endoplasmic reticulum where proteins are going to be formed. Okay. The nuclear envelope, as you can see, because this is the structure of the nucleus, you can see a number of things here, including the nuclear envelope, okay, which protects DNA from damage and regulates movement of molecules between the nucleus and the cytoplasm, okay, through the nuclear pores that you can see there. Oh, yeah. The nucleolus, okay, located within the nucleus, is responsible for producing and assembling ribosome components. Okay, the the synthesis of ribosomes themselves. Okay, this is what you have in the nucleolus. The nuclear pore in the nuclear envelope. This is what allows the movement of substances in and out of the nucleus. All right. You have another structure here of the nucleus. Okay, you can see the membranes, the outer membrane, the inner membrane of the nucleus, the nuclear pores, nucleoplasm, okay, the nucleolus, okay, and the nucleoplasm, what you should remember is that it contains chromosomes, okay, and chromatin. But you understand the difference much later. There's a very important structure, very important organelle that the cell has, and it is called mitochondria. Okay, the mitochondria is double membraned organelle with an outer membrane and a highly folded inner membrane called cristae. Just as you saw on the nucleus that it has two membranes, the mitochondria also has two membranes, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. But the inner membrane is highly foiled, okay, from cristae. The primary function of mitochondria is to produce energy in the form of ATP through the process of cellular respiration. Why I am able to talk to you, okay, it is because of the energy that the mitochondria is producing for me to have the energy to talk to you. Why you are able to walk, why you are able to hear things. Okay, it's because the mitochondria is providing energy for you to do all of this. So therefore, this could as well be a very important organelle in any organism. Which lack or which disease would be a huge problem, all right? Okay, the number of mitochondria in a cell varies depending on the cell's energy needs, okay? With highly active cells containing more mitochondria, then it holds that those with the very low activity contains few mitochondria because you only need energy when you are very active or you are doing something. If you're not doing anything, why do you need all that energy? Mitochondria play a role in other vital cellular processes, including the regulation of the cell cycle and cell death, what we call apoptosis. Okay, that will be discussed later. Okay, this is another picture of mitochondria so that you can look at it more clearly. And here it with some of the functions like ATP synthesis. Remember ATP, I said that's the currency of energy in the body. Okay, synthesis. So now it is what is unique about the mitochondria is that it has its own DNA. Okay? It has its own DNA, and the own DNA it uses its own DNA to synthesize its own substance within. Okay, and also the education of its own ribosomes for the production of its own proteins. All right. And you will read in your books then that the mitochondria, also known as the powerhouse of the cell, okay, generates the ATP. All right. Other organelles, okay, the ribosomes that I have talked about, which is responsible for protein synthesis. Now, this one is responsible for protein synthesis together with the endoplasmic reticulum. In this case, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, which has ribosomes attached. The endoplasmic reticulum is a network of membranes involved in protein synthesis. Now, the ones that are involved in protein synthesis is called the rough endoplasmic reticulum, which has the ribosomes attached to it. Okay? But the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for lipid synthesis. Okay, lipid synthesis and also detoxification. Okay, organs like the liver, as you are going to see, which are responsible for detoxifying harmful substances that come in the human body, they would have a lot of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. We have the Golgi apparatus, which sorts, packages all these proteins after they have been uh, synthesized from the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so after the proteins are synthesized in the endoplasmic reticulum, they are sent to the Golgi apparatus, okay, to be packaged. So that is both the proteins and the lipids. All right. Lysosomes, it's very important, okay, in the defense of the organism against harmful uh, other harmful organisms or any material that could harm. Okay, so lysosomes, they contain digestive enzymes that will break down waste materials and cellular debris. That's how the body kills some or most of the bacteria. Okay, the cells that are responsible for killing that bacteria, they go and eat that bacteria. Okay, then fuse it with this lysosome so that the bacteria is exposed to these enzymes that then kill it. All right. So these are the differences between then a plant and an animal cell. Plant cells, they have a rigid wall made of cellulose, as you have seen. The animal cells, they lack that cell wall, but instead have a cell membrane. They contain chloroplasts for photosynthesis. Animal cells do not do photosynthesis, therefore they do not have chloroplasts. Plant cells, they have a large central vacuole for storage and maintaining cell rigidity, but as you saw that the animal cells have small vacuoles. Okay, and this is a very important thing for you to know because this is something that you'll find in your past papers. This comes in exams. In conclusion, remember that cells are the fundamental units of life, forming the basis of all that is living. Therefore, understanding the cell, the differences between all these types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and knowing all these is crucial, right? And the comparison of plant and the animal cell along with the processes of the cellular respiration, which you are going to do, photosynthesis, etc., that you're going to follow, right? It's very important to understand ourselves and define truly what this life is. We don't know what life is yet, or what, well, we can't define life, okay? But from what we have observed, from what we have experienced, we can give suggestions of what it might be. Okay, grasping this concept is essential for appreciating the intricate workings of life at a microscopic level. When you understand an organism from a microscopic level, then you understand microscopic means that smallest level that you cannot see with your own eye. It is very easy then to understand something at a macroscopic level. All right, Charles.